A quick note from our sponsor. We don't have a sponsor. We're back by not popular demand. My first conversation back at this was with Sheila Jones. She was my kindergarten teacher. She's had an impact on me, and I'm probably not the only one. Sheila and I reconnect for the first time in God knows how long. Ask her some questions as I'm getting into the career path myself, teaching. But tune in if you want to hear myself and Sheila Jones reconnecting. If you're interested, you're probably still listening, and I thank you very much for that.
Just a note, too, that I'm going to be performing on May 20th at Eastville Comedy Club in Brooklyn at 8 p.m., part of a show. It's from a really funny comedian named Guy Rubin. I'll link his Instagram and tickets to the show if anyone's interested in the show notes. I dare you not to laugh, really, if you're going to attend a show of his. But
here's me and Sheila Jones.
Sure.
But yeah, fortunately I'm in a much better place now compared to 2020. I mean, hopefully most people are, because of the godforsaken pandemic that's,
I know,
for the most part, behind us. I have this wrapped in a duck's towel. Yeah, I don't forget where it came from. But yeah, you haven't seen me in a long time.
I know.
I moved to Boston in 2009.
Aha.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then I became a different person. You know, I became an anxious Northeast Jew, a neurotic. So it's nice to be here. You know, it's a stark difference. I moved in 7th grade across the country. So no, it wasn't easy for me.
No, well, I was going through my old yearbooks trying to think. I saw your sister, and because I had your sister, and your mom was a great parent volunteer. She was always
She loved
right
being
there.
involved and.
Yeah. So,
well, what do you remember about me? I have a vivid memory. I will start with, I remember in a group setting, one of the earliest memories I have is, it's like the first laugh I ever got, personally, is we were all in a group, like everyone from kindergarten, and there was, I don't know what the instructions were, but someone said, any questions? And I said, can I go to the bathroom? And then people just, and I remember that feeling really good. But I do remember getting in trouble as well in kindergarten for slapping girls' bottoms.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you remember.
Some issues on the playground, yes.
Okay.
That's, but that, it's
I don't
that
even-
age. It's not sexual. It's,
I don't even know why. It's just
playful.
saw someone doing it. Yeah.
It's playful. So nobody got in trouble, but.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was.
I was just there the other day.
Were
just
you
walking
really?
by. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And it unchanged except for the colors on the exterior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Pretty much the same. If you go and you walk into the school, that there's a huge tile on the wall, and actually it's a
Like a mural.
It's a mural, but it's what do you call it? Hand stitched mural of the school, and it's from the very beginning, and everybody who was there. And I'm one of those crazy teachers that saves all of the kids' pictures,
Oh my goodness.
I have them back from '99, but I actually started at West Park School, and some of the teachers went and helped open Plaza Vista.
Right.
And I think you were in the first or second kindergarten class.
Something like
I
that.
think, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you might be right. Wow. Okay.
Because it opened in 1999.
Yeah.
And then 2000, took out the 2000 yearbook, which was ridiculous. It was paper, and now they cost $50. But anyway, yeah. And then we didn't even have a 7th or 8th grade because we were just starting. I think the highest grade was 5th grade.
Okay.
So no middle school at that point. So
After that, just
anyway,
figure it out yourself.
Yeah. But you were a cutie. You were a real cutie, and shy, but really a little sneaky, sneaky.
I remember
A little sneaky, yeah, because I knew how smart you were.
Sneaky how?
Sneaky smart.
Okay.
Sneaky smart, saying I can't do that, and then you go ahead and your drawings were great. I think you weren't too keen on singing. We had a lot of programs, and yes, I remember that. Like, I'm not going to sing. I said, yep, you're going to sing. Everyone's going to sing in the program.
Yeah.
Let's get together and I'll do
I'm
it
a stubborn
together.
kid. I could have been difficult for a teacher if I really felt difficult.
Well, I know, but I think you have to understand a student's personality.
Yeah.
And you don't want
And
to butt
understand their
heads with them.
reason.
Yes, you want to. I think you want to understand where they're coming from, and when you understand the student, then you can deal with the feelings. And you're not going to change a shy child.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to cajole with them. You're going to joke with them, and then pretty soon, they come on board. You know, they say, hey, this is pretty cool, you know. And I think you want to make learning fun. You know, I was the crazy teacher that always wore costumes. And a costume for Abraham Lincoln, a costume for the leprechaun, a costume for George Washington, a costume. Crazy. I got crazy stories about costumes. But anyway, go ahead. I think you're good.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to remember what I was like. But I remember having difficult moments, like, even, I could be making this up, but the concept of even and odd numbers, was that something in kindergarten?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember really struggling with that, and I think I was like one of the last in class.
Exactly.
Wow, it's crazy how we can remember these things.
I know. Adding sets and taking out all the manipulatives and trying to add them up and yeah, it was interesting. And I think before I was listening to one of the other podcasts, and I think Roberta Saygood said, you know, that common, whatever that thing was, what was it? And it was Common Core. It just over my brain. I said, Common Core came in, our kids were like, what is this? What are you trying to do to me? I'm just a kid.
That's how they felt every time.
Exactly. It wasn't, but yeah, and you always had a cute sense of humor too. I loved it when you smiled. You always,
Thanks.
Yeah. It was good. It was good. And your cute laugh, which you still maintain. So,
Someone said I sound like an endangered bird, but
no.
my laugh does. But yeah, no, youngest of three, and so that was, you know, the performer type and always going for laughs.
Yep.
But I sort of had to shift a bit more where I retreated into myself when I moved to the East Coast and became an adolescent.
Interesting.
Because so I was just talking with Hope earlier today in person, and she sends her regards.
Obviously. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So she did retire last year?
I think she's doing something like a soft retirement because she had some health troubles last year, and so she's using her. She's fine now.
Oh, okay.
It's all behind her.
Wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think she either is retired or is sort of doing an off ramp, using all of her sick days to see what that's like. So I forget at which point specifically she's at, but yeah, man, time flies. But I don't know how much people really change. The whole concept of nature versus nurture is very interesting to me.
I think I really truly do. I think it does. It's always interesting because I still am within the district doing what I do, testing English learners, and it always is flabbergasts me when I walk into a school and I see somebody and they say, oh, Mrs. Jones, you're still around. I said, well, I'm not 100. I'm not dead. They said, oh yeah, you know that my son is now getting his PhD at Harvard. I'm going, what? Oh my gosh. And it's so fun to be able to understand their stories and see where they've been. And I mean, who could have believed that, you know, you'd be in Boston, and it's
Life
amazing.
just
It does.
yeah.
It really does. And I think what happens to us, where we are shapes us, as you said, when you move back east. I think culture has a lot to do with it. So I don't know. You haven't changed that much to me, but listening to what you've done, and especially you're talking about grad school and college and trying to make decisions, and I think we're influenced by where we are.
Yeah. I also remember in kindergarten, I'm very well. Over the years, my dad. We joke that he is sort of undiagnosed ADHD, and I feel like I might have streaks of that as well. Maybe some sort of OCD thing, because I have a memory of the carpet that had squares, and each square was a different color, and God forbid someone.
Don't even get on my line. This is my personal space.
Oh my goodness.
And
jeez Louise.
I think
that was not easy.
No, you weren't, but you were just so darn cute that you just won my heart. But anyway, won my heart.
Oh
yeah.
Oh
my gosh.
Yeah, so I don't know, but you're retired, right?
I retired in 2019.
2019.
And And I was the oldest, I believe I was the oldest one in the school, because so many of the teachers that I started with all retired, and I thought, well, when am I going to retire? And it was so interesting because my dad died on Christmas Day, and so our family on Christmas, we open our presents and we always go someplace, but we've been going out to Palm Desert every year. And for that year, my 2 grandkids were out there with us, and they got violently sick. And we discovered that it was COVID before there was even COVID. I mean, they slept for 2 days.
Oh, wow.
102 temperature. It was terrible. And then their lungs. Anyway,
Really?
so I kept looking at them and going, do I need to really keep teaching? I don't know. And it was such a mind-bending thing for me to say, do I really want to keep on doing this? And I think after 32 years, I said it's time to pack it in. But I was so scared to talk to Mr. Parker, who was my principal, still is a principal at Plaza Vista, and I thought, let me pray about this. Let me talk to my husband. And I said, I've done I think all I can do as a teacher. I really have. I've touched hundreds of lives. I've mentored numerous student teachers, and I think I'm done. But I wasn't done.
Mind you, we're at Irvine,
Yes.
middle school campus, right?
Exactly.
So you're only so done, or they can only get rid of you so much.
Yeah, and then there's some statute in Irvine, or not in Irvine, but California, that a teacher cannot step in a classroom or sub or anything for 6 months after they retire.
Okay.
I didn't understand that, and I basically turned into a turtle.
Meaning?
I was in my pajamas every day. I didn't know what to do with my life. I watched Netflix for 6 months, and then I discovered that I needed to do something else with my life.
Just checking we're still going.
Yep.
Okay, well,
So-
you maybe needed that. No, I was just checking it's still recording, which
Yeah.
it is. Did you enjoy being a turtle?
No, I
Oh, it was kind of
kind
a-
of went into depression.
Oh, it was
Actually,
kind of
'cause
a dark.
I had no purpose. I didn't have any purpose, and I needed to find my purpose, a reason to get up in the morning. And I think we need that because my passion was gone. And so I rejoined my sorority. I rejoined Assistance League, which are both philanthropic organizations, and I needed to give of myself again because I literally had a hole in my heart. I didn't know. I didn't know where to give myself, and contribute. And kids had been my life. Teaching had been my life, and I needed to find another avenue to share that passion. So, and now I work with kids, English language learners, and I have great colleagues, and so yeah, it's really great. So I'm excited for you.
Yeah, me as well.
For your thinking, your contemplating career and
Yeah,
stuff.
for sure. I mean, with the whole world going crazy, I think just having a job that is around people speaks to me. And I mean, Roberta said, like, why don't you consider being a teacher? And I was like, that's actually a good point. Because I've considered being a psychologist in the past and all these different things. And I think that maybe a teacher can sort of serve as a function of that. And
I think with your personality,
I've been a teacher's pet my whole life.
Well, yes, you have. Yes, you have.
And those are usually made for good teachers.
Of course you do. And I think a majority, if you ask a majority of teachers, let's say, we're a little bit ADD ourselves because we can multitask. Because if you've got a crying child over here and you've got one who needs help over here, you've got a parent that's complaining, you can do that because we're skilled that way.
Right.
We really are skilled that way. So, and you've got that kind of personality. You think
Perhaps
you'll be
I
very
do.
successful.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Yeah,
So-
we'll see. I'm just like, all right, we'll see until I do it, sort of thing. I'm like that with a lot of stuff in life, but I'm excited. And
What level are you considering?
5th or 6th grade come to mind. I had, 4th grade, just I don't know, something like that.
Well, you had a great 5th grade teacher with Scott.
Yeah, so specifically social studies is the angle that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
So that's going to be what I'm focusing on. So I think 5th grade is maybe the earliest. It depends where, but I I live in Jersey, so
Yeah.
social studies, that interests me. Just people and the story of people.
Oh
and,
yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, just being a good force in young people's lives. I don't know. Yeah, I think I have more to offer than I realize, and so yeah, excited. I always see myself as someone who's been good at like bringing people together, and isn't necessarily the big light, but it's maybe the mirror that shines the light back and like brings sometimes the good out in others.
Yeah,
So,
I think so too.
yeah, no, I remember my mom told me this from the beginning because you told her this, is that you said I was a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah, and so those words always help me.
Well, I think.
But you just saw it, I guess.
You have to believe in yourself, and you were very, as shy as you were very confident about your abilities.
Mm.
I mean, in your skills,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that has carried through in your life for you.
Mm.
I also think that doing exploring and figuring out what you really want to do, and again, that her word passion, you need to find that passion. I mean, you've explored other avenues of employment and show business or whatever, and I think you're kind of coming full circle because now you're discovering what you really want to do.
Right.
And I think that's going to be great for you.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I am as well, yes. I feel like I'm both 29 going on 92 as well as 29 going on 19, because really only last spring I moved to start my adult life and begin living on my own. Otherwise I was living with my folks. And,
Were you?
yeah, which is fine. I mean, yeah.
It's fine. Yeah, there's nothing
So,
wrong with it.
I feel like I'm just getting started, and I'm quite excited.
Yeah.
And, but I also know, man, we plan and God laughs. So
Exactly.
So I'm like
Exactly.
a little superstitious about that. But did you did you always know you wanted to be a teacher, and at what point in your life did you start teaching?
Well, I got married very young,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in college, and my studies were teaching, going towards my credential, and then I ended up getting pregnant. And then I got pregnant again, and pregnant again, and pregnant again. And so life took over. And so I kind of came to the party a little bit late, and started in my late 30s with my teaching credential, getting my teacher, finishing that.
First you were
Yeah.
mother.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mother, and then I worked with doing odd jobs too. So I got Social Security, and I got when I signed my contract, I got pension too. So now I'm doing really well in terms of finances. Whereas a lot of teachers come right out of college and boom, they sign their contract and they only have their pension when they retire. So unless you got that 40 years, you look for that magic number on your retirement, and and when I retired, the financial advisor said, you know what, you're going to make more money retired than you were when you were working.
I think Roberta said that. I've heard that one before. Yeah.
Yes.
Because it goes into the pension.
It is. Goes into the pension, and the pensions are wonderful. You just have to keep track of all the things that they do for you.
That's part of the appeal.
But anyway, to answer your question.
Definitely part of the appeal for me.
Yeah, exactly.
My parents are not upset.
No, well, good. Good.
Yeah.
I taught preschool for a while. I was a preschool administrator.
Wow.
Finished my credential.
Young ages.
Yeah, and my major was child development.
Okay.
So I really understood child psychology and one of the things, child development, exactly. We were talking about personalities and working with different personalities.
Yeah.
And then when they started transitional kindergarten at Plaza Vista, I was it. I did the first transitional kindergarten, and
you
now
were the go-to.
Yeah, it was the go-to, and that was the 1 year that I missed being, the kindergarten teacher. But then it became preschool, and now it's free, which is great. I think I always
free school. Okay.
Yeah, preschool. I always wanted to be a teacher, and even I think in middle school, I wanted to be the teacher's aide. I was up there, and there was something innately in me that wanted to be that person that could guide lives. And I think it took me a little longer because I wasn't that 20-year-old I was that 30-something, late 30-something person.
Yeah.
But then I was able to, do it for 30 plus years and come out and still, enjoy my life. So I think sometimes it takes a while to find what you really want to do with your life. And I think that's what you're finding right now is as a grown-up.
Right.
And then, honing those skills, putting those skills together and saying, yeah, I can do that. I am finding who I am. So
Yeah. Totally. I laugh because you're right. I feel like these things come naturally to me. Just my default is kindness. And so bringing people together and I think these things would translate well and there's a need for it and pension sounds nice and just being treated decently. Not working like a dog to the bone. Getting there's a corporate aspect that just working in corporate is not for me. That life is not. I say it's the closest thing we have to Soviet Russia in this country. Be careful what you say to your comrades. Laugh at the boss's jokes.
That's it. Go along to get along.
You're right. Exactly.
There you go.
Here, as a teacher, there's bullshit everywhere.
Yeah.
Probably with every job. There is, not probably. It's, something my dad always reminds me.
Yeah.
As the pragmatist. But it's humane. It's and I'm curious that there's such a need, or like just numbers. There's a need.
I think so. One of the parts of teaching that was difficult for me, but I learned how to deal with parents, especially difficult parents, and how to understand where they were coming from. And you can't be combative with parents, even though they may be wrong in their opinions or what's right for their child. I will never forget, and this is a quick aside story.
Please.
We were doing parent conferences, and little Eric came in, and I don't remember, it was early in my teaching. Eric came in, and Eric's dad came in. Eric was Japanese, and Dad came in with these 3 huge portfolios. And my eyes just got really big. And I said, "Oh, hi, welcome, come sit down." And he said,
what grade was he in?
This was kinder.
Okay.
Kindergarten,
Yeah,
yes. Yes. And I said, could you explain what these are? Oh, well, this is his language arts portfolio. This is his math portfolio. And this is his geography portfolio.
That's
and I
tough.
said, he's 5. And I thought, oh my God, what kind of life has this child had? What this is all he's done? And he said, well, I just want to make sure that my child is learning in kindergarten. I said, you know what? The most important thing that he's going to learn is social and emotional development and learn how to play. We need to learn how to play. That's so important. We lose that not childish, but childhood.
Right.
And there's still always that child in us that needs to remain in us. Otherwise, we get too serious. And Eric had the best time. And we were doing a math lesson one day, and he raised his hand on the carpet. He said, "Mrs. Jones," we were doing addition with cubes and manipulatives. He said, "Mrs. Jones, when are we going to do square root?" And the kids looked at him and said, "What's that?" And I just laughed and I said, "Eric, soon." Soon.
So that's tough. I mean, the parents. I mean, I'm just realizing like it all comes from the home and the parents, and I mean, they're in control of your schedule. They're in control of what your life looks like.
Exactly.
So you only have so much agency, but I hear pressure from what you're describing, and sort of
definitely pressure,
a helicopter type approach, which I'm sure there's no shortage of that here, probably in Irvine.
No, I think that, and it's not unfortunate, but I think depending on the location, there's a sense of entitlement. And I don't know, in New Jersey, we have relatives who live in New Jersey, and they have wonderful schools there. I mean, there's high scores there. But there was not the class size. I mean, they're really adamant about keeping class size small, and the aspect of respect for teachers and maintaining that respect which so sometimes there isn't, depending on where you're teaching. And I think
Isn't what?
I think teaching in LA, I have my daughter-in-law's
Just
sister.
respect for the profession.
Well, yes, and also the teacher. You know, having to walk through a metal detector to get into school, that doesn't sound fun to me.
No.
But a lot of people do. They have to do that for their own safety.
Yeah, if that needs to happen, I don't feel safe with the idea of that.
No. But I think, you know, what you're talking about, and that's an isolated incident where it depends on the location.
Sure.
But I think what you're talking about in terms of location and what you want to study, I mean, it's fascinating to me. I think it's going to be a great thing for you.
Yeah, I mean, I on paper, everyone sort of finds a way to struggle in their own way because, like, for me, the move was probably the hardest part. I think it had the impact on me, like maybe I don't know, but what sounds like a divorce almost. Like, for me, it sort of ended my childhood and just real life and anxiety and social anxiety developed amongst myself and the me that I thought I was in California, which was, you know, captain of the hockey team and whatever having a girlfriend looks like, which means talking to a girl twice a week when you're in 6th grade. And then when you move and then you don't really see that reflected back towards you, so you're like, oh, I'm also, you kind of internalize that as well. And when you move, I moved to Newton, Massachusetts, which is also really selective, quite like Irvine. It's a suburb of Boston. And in 7th grade, I mean, Newton is really predominantly Jewish, so they call it Jewton. And so in 7th grade, that's a bar and bat mitzvah year.
Oh yeah.
And so I didn't really have any friends, so I wasn't invited to many of those. So for me, it was a personality shift where I was comparing everything to California, and became different. And comedy, I found that outlet, but I was just kind of watching it and consuming it, and those felt like my people. And just recently, I was like, oh, I'm a comedian. Like, you know. It's like, I think Sarah Silverman, she said once, like, you are just born it. It's kind of like being born gay, which I don't know. I can't relate, but despite people's suspicions, no, I'm just single, neat, and thin, as Seinfeld once said. But how do you feel like, 2 questions here, they're both related in terms of how have kids changed over time, do you think, with the technologies that have been introduced, and how do you think parents have changed over time?
I think
I'd like to think there's been an effect, right, on social media.
There has been. I think I was astounded. I was driving in from home this morning, and they just heard on the radio that Australia has banned social media.
Right. Countries are doing that now.
Yes, and I
16
truly believe that that's something that is going to happen because of the suicide rate. I think depression in kids, and I was always dismayed when I had kids come into my class, and I don't even remember what year it was, and had cell phones as a 5-year-old. I had one student. She says, "Oh yes, I have my own iPad and my own cell phone and then my own television." I said, "In your room?" She said, "Oh yeah, it's all mine." I said, "Oh, yeah, that's overkill. It's overkill." And I think that all of us survived without social media. Kids nowadays cannot not have a phone. It's flabbergasting to me that, and I find myself checking Facebook. I check social media, but it's not something that I have to have in my life. And I think, in terms of parents having the pressure to give their child a phone at 5 and 6 because they want them to be safe. I mean, there's certain pros and cons, but I think there are more cons than there are pros. And I think parents have changed over time because of the political settings that
social media has divided people. It has divided
exactly.
And brings up, content that triggers and inflames us and gets us, talking.
Exactly. And I think that the parents are feeling more pressure to have their children succeed. We all want our children to succeed,
Yeah.
But I think now more than ever,
Maybe we see too much.
we see too much.
Probably.
And we know too much too soon.
Mm.
And that's a detriment to our mental health, I think.
That's a fact. Yeah. Amen.
Yeah. So, anyway. Oh yeah. Well,
How have kids changed?
kids have changed. I don't think they're as happy as they used to be.
Yeah.
They don't. I loved, and when I was listening to your other podcast, it was so interesting when we did the first Global Play Day. I know you.
Yeah, Scott Badley. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And kids in a class didn't really know what to do.
What do we do now?
What do we do?
What? Because we don't have a task.
We don't have.
We don't have to study or
she
think
didn't
about
tell
college.
us what to do, and
Right.
I said, "But here's a game table, and here's a game table, and it took them a long time to be able to gather around, talk to each other, engage with each other. Once they did,
Yeah.
it was great. It was absolutely great, and there was no technology. You know, we weren't on Chromebooks. We weren't on iPads.
Right.
They just had a board game, or they had, manipulators that they were using, or they had cards that we were playing. And life was simpler.
Yeah.
Life was so much simpler. Ben, I don't want to go back to the 50s and the 60s. I don't. I don't want to be a leave it to beaver person.
Right.
Where, oh yes, mother stays home and cooks the food and cleans the house. Because I'm a modern woman too. I worked when my kids were little. But I think there are so many pressures now to succeed.
Yeah.
And the parents are feeling that, and what they're doing is it's projected on their students, on their children.
Yeah, I definitely felt that in Massachusetts, in Newton.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely what they call a pressure cooker school, where
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
where
my.
there's suicides in high school from students, and yeah, the obsession with college. And I definitely internalized that. For me, it felt like such a big decision. But when I went through college, I was like, oh, this just feels like high school 2.0.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't really go out much in high school, so it was really my playground. College was. Yeah, I don't know how we bucked that trend without being firm, like we were talking about in Australia and maybe Indonesia, or I don't know. I know they're close on the map, but I don't know if Indonesia is also doing that. But I'm curious, do you think there's anything that you wish kids are taught that they aren't from all your years of teaching and understanding sort of the environment? And also recognizing how much one person can enact and change, because there's a curriculum and there's this state involved. What do you feel like is like genuinely missing from what kids should know?
Are you talking about curriculum, or are you talking about
Life.
actual life?
I don't know, because home ec comes to mind. That used to be a thing, right? Like
I think
doing life shit.
life
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah.
I think giving up home economics, wood shop, shop,
Like bringing
auto
back-
shop, bringing back trades, because there's so much pressure to succeed and get to college. What college are you going to?
Right.
What my child's 5, and I'm already starting their college fund for Harvard. Well, how do you know they're going to be in Harvard in 18 years or 12 years
Yep.
that they have left in school? And I think there should be more options vocationally in school for kids to be able to find out what kind of learner they are. I was a visual tactile learner. I needed to see and do it to learn it.
Okay.
And that's how I succeed. And I knowing what kind of a learner a child is, you can hone in on those special skills of theirs and complement what they can do, instead of having them suffer because they're not an auditory learner. I didn't hear what you said. Oh, were you ignoring me? Seriously, and understanding, what kind of learning is best for you.
Right.
And so, anyway, I don't know if that answered your question or not, but anyway.
Well, I feel like I sort of started to answer it with, what do you think is missing? And home ec came to mind for me,
Yeah.
and you sort of validated that.
Yeah.
I agree, though. Yeah, I feel like I became someone who's very book smart, and and then not maybe the most street smart, but life teaches you that, obviously.
Exactly.
But that's why I think it is why you see so many shortages in trades and those jobs, and it's just unfortunate. But I couldn't do it myself. I'm useless. My dad was really good with his hands and crafty, and so anytime we needed something fixed, he would just do it himself.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. which always left me feeling not like a man growing up.
I know, but
but there's different kinds. Yeah.
And people have different skills.
Correct.
That was not one of your fortes. That was not one of your skills. And
No.
I think the whole idea of I remember this class I took in, I think it was psychology, that we really don't have one IQ. We have multiple intelligences in our brain, and some are more honed than others. Some are greater than others.
Oh, I like that.
I was never good in math, but I'm a heck of a writer, and I can spell. And you want to enhance those ones that are the skills that a child has that are really good at, and then you want to support the ones that are not so great in them, but allow them to understand. Because I'm not good in math doesn't mean that I'm not smart. It's just I learn differently. I learn math differently.
Right.
And finding out. I mean, I found out that one of my daughters had a learning disability, and until she came to Irvine, when she came to Irvine, she tested out as a 7th grader. She tested out as a 2nd grader.
Well,
because she had an unidentified learning disability.
And
she graduated from Sonoma State in communications with honors.
Yeah.
With a learning disability. You know what? Wow, people can succeed. They can succeed. I think one of the other things that I wish that we had more of was learning how to problem solve, and learning more compassion in school. We don't seem to teach those, I don't know what you're trying to say, communication skills, problem solving skills. Things are not black and white. There has to be a way to be able to communicate with one another effectively and engage in conversation. And I think that we need more of that.
Yeah, emotional regulation comes to mind.
There you go. I like that language.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Recognizing feelings and knowing that they'll pass. And
you hit it.
Yeah.
You hit it.
I mean, so she's had like the most successful book. You may have heard Mel Robbins.
Yes.
Let Them and all that. And so she says to look at most adults like an 8-year-old or something like that, because most people, and she says it really without judgment, but have like the basic emotional regulation training. I don't even know if I've necessarily had it, though I've had enough time now meditating and pretending I'm a Buddhist to get close enough to have worked on it for sure. But sometimes small things do trip me up. I just can't believe this is happening.
well, I guess I'm kind of where it all started. I kept thinking about you, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, of all the people that you could interview, I'm still alive. Sometimes you have that question, like when you're on an essay, you say, who is the person that influenced you the most, or who was your favorite teacher in your life? And nine times out of 10, somebody will say, well, it's my kindergarten teacher. I remember Mrs. Smith, or I remember Mrs. So-and-so. And because they were the one person that influenced me. And I know in my heart that if you have one significant person that touches you in your life, you will be successful. If you do not have that experience, you're going to flounder. And I think if I have been that one person, I'm going to start to cry.
You've been for so many. I mean, that you can only imagine.
Could be that person.
Yeah.
To lift them up when they couldn't lift themselves up. And I had a good run. I have a quick story I have to tell you real quick.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be quick either.
No, well, it'll be quick. But I told you I used to dress up. Yeah. And I was dressing up. I took the pilgrim picture out, that, and then the leprechaun, and then the George Washington. That's me.
As a leprechaun with a beard.
Yes. George Washington, dressed up as Abraham Lincoln. I couldn't find the picture, but anyway.
The kids probably all shriek.
Oh, they do.
They love it.
They do. And so
I love it.
I was dressed up as Abraham Lincoln with the beard and the whole thing, the hat. And we were going to go down to a convention in San Diego, and I was going to take the train from Irvine to San Diego. My husband was going to pick me up at the train station. And he said, now be sure to change out of your costume before you get on the train. And I said, oh, sure, no problem. Well, I was running late. I was going to miss the train.
For a convention, right?
For the convention to go down. And by golly, I boarded the train in my Abraham Lincoln costume. And we were supposed to check into the Doubletree Hotel. And he said, I got to the station and he kept waving at me, come to the car. Come, I'm not going to come get you. Because everybody was like, oh, this is a crazy person getting off the train. Oh my gosh. So I got into the car, drove to the Doubletree down in San Diego, and he said, stay in the car. I said, I'm not going to stay in the car. He said, well, you can come into the lobby, but stand way, way in the back.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm standing in the back of the lobby, and the hotel clerk says, one, sir, for the room? He goes, no, I'm with that. I said, he's pointing to me, and he said, is that your wife? And he said, yep, she's a crazy kindergarten teacher. I said, okay, fine. So life is too fun. Life is too fun. So anyway, yay. So, yeah. So here I am. I hope I'm going to follow you.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow you till you get that credential. And
yeah, we'll keep in touch. I'll let
yeah.
you know how it goes and how I feel throughout the process. But yeah, recently I'm just so happy that the earliest memory I can think of is getting laughter, and it's in kindergarten. When
I loved your stand-up.
Oh, thank you.
I saw your special.
I'm so green. Oh, I'm so green. I have new stuff now that I need to do. So.
Well, don't give it up.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
Thank you.
You got to have that side, something else besides just that. I mean,
Oh,
once you leave
totally.
the classroom, you leave the classroom in the classroom, and then you've got other things that you're going to do. And
That's a plan. Yeah.
I think that's going to be great for you. I'm real tickled.
Oh.
Real tickled.
Like they say that's a. I heard there's a comedian. Her name is I don't know if you've heard her, Leanne Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
She said she uses
Oh
that
my
term.
gosh, she's hysterical.
She says she's tickled. I'm just tickled. You know, she was on Conan. She said she's tickled that she calls him a friend and stuff. That's the last time I heard someone say tickled. But yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm not planning to have a family.
Mm-hmm.
So, which if you're my mother or anything like that. But I don't know. I never really saw that for myself, and so teaching and stand up and who knows? Who knows?
Fine.
Life is a surprise.
And who knows? You might find that lifelong partner that, you know, I have 4 kids. Only one of them's married. I have 3 beautiful grandchildren. And my other 2, my daughters decided not to get married. They're roommates. They love each other. They know their warts. And my other son has a wonderful
That's a fun way
partner.
of putting that.
He didn't want to have a family, but he has this gorgeous partner. And we make life choices. And you know what? And they need to be validated. You know, they need to be validated.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just beginning to realize I have choices.
Exactly.
Because we grow up, and you know, like I just had no thought. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go to college, and yeah, I'm gonna do these things, and so, yeah, just beginning to understand what I want from my life, and you know, all these things.
And you know, when somebody says, "Well, what's your 5-year plan?" I can't make a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
I can make a 1-year plan.
Right.
You know,
and then you'll look back and you'll laugh at how crazy and how different the year's been from, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't. You don't know. You don't know from one minute to the next. So, you know, you get in your car and you think, "Will I make it to work?" Yeah, I will make it to work. You know, am I going to meet Ben today? I'm going to meet Ben today. So, and I did.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been, what, 24? Now, how old are you?
29.
29?
Yeah, just recently turned 29. I was born in September of '96.
Oh my gosh, I could be your grandmother. Then.
You live in like the San Diego area? You always have?
Okay, yeah. Quick.
Sure.
You left Irvine, what year?
I left in the spring of '09.
Oh, no.
Spring, summer,
Okay.
yeah. But
So
I'd heard that you had a house that you'd suffered a fire.
Right, yeah. And, but I moved, I lived in Ramona, and I traveled 100 miles each way to come to school. Then the house burned down, and I live in Escondido now, north of San Diego. Beautiful little town. We have a holiday parade, we have parades, they paint the windows, we have a main street. It's like, you know, old time USA.
Sounds lovely.
It is, it's nice. Highly Hispanic, but, you know, what place isn't? We're all a melting pot.
Correct.
Anyway.
And we're in California.
Yeah,
So.
and so we moved down to Escondido, and we've lived there ever since the fires.
Mm-hmm.
We moved there in 1999, actually, when Plaza Vista opened. So, and been there ever since.
Wow.
So, after then, 07, we moved to Escondido, and love it there. So, yeah.
And how do you get here?
I drive.
Okay.
I drive now. I took the train for 20 plus years. I drove over to Oceanside from Escondido.
Okay.
And then got on the train, and so I knew all the conductors, I knew all the ticket people, I knew, oh my gosh, and I almost had a breakdown the last day I got off the train. I said, oh my God, my family, you're my family.
Aww.
It was neat. It was really a nice experience. So, building friendships, building relationships that have lasted, and I think it was absolute kismet. I don't know how you and I got in touch, whether it was Facebook or I don't know. I don't know. All of a sudden, there's Ben. I know Ben. What is this? The Ben that I know, or is it some other Ben? And it was Ben.
That's so wonderful that you.
It
goes both ways. I mean, having a teacher it's like having like another parent, quite like. Secretly, underratedly,
you had really some very significant ones in your younger years, and I'm sure that you had some really outstanding ones when you moved back east. But like you said, it's a different culture back east. I mean, it really is. When we go back and visit, we just came from New Orleans, and wow, that's a different place. Wow, it's really interesting. But culture is different, and it's amazing. It's really amazing. So
yeah.
Anyway, well, I'm so glad you came and we had this conversation.
I know, long overdue. You'd reached out and I was busy with work and just not in a place, I guess, but I'm so happy and kismet, like you said, to use a Yiddish word or.
I don't think so. Yeah, whatever. So.
But it's amazing. My mom obviously sends her best.
Well, yes, tell her I'm still alive.
I'll need to get that picture. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here, I printed this out for you. You can have it. The big picture.
Oh.
And I will.
And then send me that one.
I will text you this one. Can I message it to you?
Yeah, of course.
It to you. Okay.
I'm gonna end this record.
Okay. Perfect.
Thanks for listening. I felt like I had a debt of gratitude to at least say my thanks and swap memories. Feel free to listen along. There's going to be more episodes coming. I promise. I just want to say, so I'll be talking to comedians, artists, musicians, other people. You could follow me on Instagram at BenH2Vol. Next episode of the podcast will be 2 weeks from today, Monday, April 20th. I'm not going to tell you who the next guest is going to be, not because it's a surprise. I haven't decided yet. I have a bunch of these interviews from the past couple months, so bye.